Welcome to my class. I am Dr. N. Geeta, Assistant Professor, Department of Zoology PG, PSG College of Arts and Science, Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu. Marine pollution, causes, effect and control measures. What does it mean, marine pollution? It's also similar like water pollution, but it has huge difference between water pollution and marine pollution. An introduction of foreign toxic substance to the marine environment that causes marine pollution. But even though it is similar like water pollution, the method of introduction of pollutant or a toxicant into the marine ecosystem is different. For example, direct discharge of wastewater through pipelines from municipal town near the coastal area. The sewage water is the marine prime pollutant. Ship carries toxic radioactive substance, oil in huge amount, usually over 100,000 tons. When there is a shipwreck or ship accidents and that causes spillage, that cause serious damage to the marine environment. Next to that direct discharge, offshore oil extraction also easily pollute the marine ecosystem. The next source is the indirect source, where pesticides and fertilizers from agricultural lands, oil and natural gasoline spills from tankers, and even the road accidents that ultimately reach all the pollutants into the sea. Primary pollutant that reach the sea is sewage, usually organic in nature. So when the organic compounds from the sewage water is mixed with the marine water, the aerobic bacteria that start degrading the organic compounds into a stable inorganic compounds by oxidation. While they do the conversion, they absorb the dissolved oxygen or they utilize the dissolved oxygen to convert the organic compounds into an inorganic compounds. As a result, the dissolved oxygen content in the marine water drops. When oxygen level drops below 1.5 mg per liter, the aerobic bacteria cannot survive there, and that place will be taken over by the anaerobic bacteria because they can do the degradation, microbial degradation without utilizing the oxygen. So the anaerobic bacteria start degrading the organic compounds like hydrogen sulfide, ammonia and methane. So these are all the secondary components that formed because of microbial degradation, which lead to anoxic zone. It means where most of the marine organisms cannot survive, except very few anaerobic microbes can survive in that zone. Usually while we think about the effect of marine pollution, we usually think about eutrophication. But apart from eutrophication, organic waste that cause phytoplankton blooms, which is generally called as red tides. Phytoplankton blooms that carpeting the surface of the marine water, and it gives the appearance like red tides. And the red tides that cause mass mortality of commercially important marine species. For example, fishes. They cannot survive in red tides because these phytoplanktons get clogged around the gills, that is the vital respiratory organ of a fish. So the fish cannot survive in red tide areas. And oil spills from shipwreck that form a thin film over the surface of the water. It's called oil slicks. An oil slick that cause huge damage to marine life. Example, birds. They are exposed to such oil slicks, lose their plumes and water repellent property, because the bird's feather and plumes has a minute space which is occupied or trapped with air. When these birds are completely soaked in oil slicks, that water that displaces the air trapped between feather and the skin, as a result the bird will sink down. In this picture you are seeing the oiled pelican. The oiled pelican feather is completely soaked with oil slicks. As a result, the plumes get damaged and even the bird unable to lift its wings because it's completely soaked with oil water. How to control marine pollution means especially the sewage waters? It should be treated by establishing the treatment plants. The plant which process physical process like screening and sedimentation. So the sewage water that will pass through the screening. Screening means here the grinding of suspended large particles into a smaller one. And after grinding, that will pass through the grit chambers. So these chambers are like the sieves that traps or that sediments the suspended large particles, and as a result, after the screening, the same polluted water that will be stored in sedimentation tank where the sedimentation process takes place. So when the wastewater flows to the sedimentation tank at a very low speed or low rate, the particles get easily settled at the bottom, and as a result, from the sedimentation tank, it can able to remove 60% of suspended solids, and it reduces or remove 35% of biological oxygen demand. Secondary treatment, the same primary treated water will get into the secondary treatment to remove further BOD from the water. And it can be done with two steps. One, trickling filters, and they are rotating arms to spray the liquid wastewater over the rock, which already has a layer of slime microbes. So the trickling filters that can readily remove the biological oxygen demand. And after that, it will pass into an activated sludge. Activated sludge is in general, it is the best way, and it's a well established method to treat the sewage water. So the sewage will be pumped into the large tank and mixed for several hours with bacteria, and that to facilitate the microbial degradation. So with that activated sludge, the sewage water can be treated well. That can reduce the pollution in marine water.